In a world where social media has become an integral part of everyday life, the idea of deleting your accounts may sound strange, counterintuitive, or even extreme. It seems as if everyone is connected in some way, whether it's through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or other platforms. Social media has revolutionized the way we communicate, socialize, and even conduct business. It offers numerous benefits, such as networking opportunities, entertainment, and a way to stay connected with friends and family. So why would anyone want to cut ties with these services? This is the story of why I decided to delete my social media accounts and why you might want to consider doing the same. The initial appeal of social media. Like most people, I initially joined social media for the excitement of staying connected with friends and family. It was an easy way to share photos, updates, and news. At first, social media seemed like a harmless platform that offered nothing but good times and exciting interactions. I joined Facebook as a way to reconnect with old friends from high school, Instagram to share photos of my travels, and Twitter for the occasional witty comment. Everything felt fun and engaging until it didn't. Over time, I started to notice that the initial sense of connection had begun to feel hollow. I was scrolling aimlessly, staring at content that didn't bring me joy or fulfillment. Instead of fostering meaningful relationships, I was just consuming endless streams of posts, many of which I didn't even care about. Social media became a habit, one that I felt I couldn't break. The compulsive nature of social media. One of the biggest reasons I decided to delete my social media was the compulsive nature of it all. I found myself constantly reaching for my phone, checking for notifications, and refreshing feeds. Every like, comment, or share gave me a small dopamine hit, a quick rush of pleasure that was short-lived but addictive. It became clear that social media was designed to keep me hooked. The algorithms are optimized to show me more of what I liked, creating a feedback loop that kept me glued to my screen. This compulsive behavior was not only affecting my mental well-being but also my productivity. I would spend hours scrolling, only to realize that I had wasted the entire day. It wasn't just the time spent on social media that bothered me, it was the way it made me feel. I began to notice an increasing sense of anxiety, comparison, and dissatisfaction in my life. Social media, rather than serving as a tool for connection and entertainment, was becoming a source of stress. The pressure to present a perfect life. Another major factor that led to my decision was the pressure to present a perfect, curated version of myself. On social media, we are constantly exposed to the highlight reels of other people's lives, vacations in exotic locations, successful career milestones, perfect relationships, and seemingly endless happiness. As I scrolled through my feed, I found myself comparing my own life to others. My accomplishments didn't seem as significant, my relationships less ideal, and my personal happiness more elusive. The pressure to constantly present a perfect version of myself, whether in terms of my appearance, lifestyle, or success, was exhausting. It felt as if my life was being measured by how many likes and comments I received, how many people followed my updates, and how many times my posts were shared. This quest for validation took a toll on my self-esteem. The more I engaged in social media, the more I felt that my true self was being overshadowed by a digital persona that didn't feel authentic. This desire for perfection was further amplified by the phenomenon known as Instagram envy or Facebook depression, where the constant exposure to idealized lives causes individuals to feel inadequate or inferior. This sense of inadequacy led me to believe that my life, as it wasn't good enough. I was constantly seeking external validation, even though I knew that it wasn't making me any happier. The facade of perfection that social media promotes is not only unrealistic but damaging. Mental health and social media. The connection between social media usage and mental health issues has been widely studied, and the results are concerning. Research has shown that excessive use of social media can lead to depression, anxiety, and feelings of loneliness. These platforms are designed to keep us engaged, but they often leave us feeling empty inside. The constant exposure to idealized lifestyles, coupled with the compulsive need to check notifications, creates a breeding ground for anxiety and self-doubt. As I continued to use social media, I noticed my mental health deteriorating. The pressure to keep up with others, the fear of missing out (FOMO), and the constant comparison took a toll on my overall sense of well-being. I started feeling more anxious and depressed, despite having what appeared to be a relatively good life. There was always something new to worry about, whether I was getting enough likes, whether I was posting at the right time, or whether my followers were still engaged. The negative impact on my mental health wasn't just about social comparison, it was about the amount of time I was spending on my phone and the level of engagement required to stay relevant. Social media created an environment where I constantly felt the need to be on, to be present, and to be noticed. The pressure to perform was exhausting. I realized that my mental health was being compromised for the sake of something that ultimately didn't contribute to my happiness. The rise of fake news and misinformation. In addition to the personal mental health impact, another reason I chose to delete my social media was the overwhelming presence of fake news and misinformation. As social media platforms grew in popularity, they became breeding grounds for hoaxes, conspiracy theories, and outright lies. While these platforms offered a space for people to share their opinions, they also created a space where rumors could spread faster than facts. It became increasingly difficult to discern what was real and what was fake. Social media platforms are notorious for amplifying sensationalized stories and misleading information, often due to algorithms that prioritize engagement over truth. The result is a distorted reality, where misinformation spreads quickly and easily. I found myself questioning the information I was consuming, wondering if it was trustworthy or just another baseless claim designed to get a reaction. The constant barrage of conflicting opinions, biased narratives, and unverified facts created an atmosphere of uncertainty and confusion. It became clear that the very platforms that were supposed to connect us were, in many ways, dividing us. Social media, and its quest for clicks and views, often ignored the importance of truth. The loss of authentic connection. One of the main selling points of social media is its ability to connect people across the globe. However, I found that these connections were often shallow and impersonal. While I could easily stay in touch with hundreds of acquaintances, I was rarely having meaningful conversations. Likes and comments replaced genuine interactions, and scrolling through my feed felt more like an obligation than a way to truly connect with others. Social media encourages us to perform for an audience rather than engage in authentic relationships. The pressure to constantly update, share, and interact with others left little room for meaningful, deep conversations. It became clear that social media wasn't fostering true connection, it was merely facilitating interaction on a surface level. People were less engaged in face-to-face conversations, and more concerned with how their online personas were being perceived. The rise of digital communication, while convenient, has diminished the quality of real-world relationships. I realized that I was spending so much time connecting online that I was neglecting the relationships that truly mattered, those with the people around me and my immediate environment. Real-life conversations, with all their nuance and depth, were replaced by emoji-filled comments and likes. The decision to delete my social media after years of using social media I made the decision to delete my accounts, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Initially, it felt like a loss. I worried about missing out on important updates, losing touch with friends, and feeling disconnected from the world. But over time, I realized that the benefits of leaving social media far outweighed the initial fears. Once I deleted my accounts, I experienced a sense of freedom. My time, once consumed by scrolling and checking notifications, was now mine to use however I pleased. I no longer felt the pressure to perform or keep up with an unrealistic standard. Without social media, I was able to focus more on real-life relationships, engage in hobbies, and experience the world around me without the constant distraction of my phone. I also found that my mental health improved. I felt less anxious, less pressured, and more at peace with myself. Deleting my social media accounts was a decision that initially felt daunting, but it has ultimately brought peace, clarity, and a renewed sense of purpose to my life. The addictive, anxiety-inducing, and often superficial nature of social media was taking a toll on my mental well-being, and I realized that stepping away was the healthiest choice for me. If you find yourself struggling with the same issues, compulsively checking your phone, comparing your life to others, or feeling overwhelmed by the constant pressure to perform, perhaps it's time to consider disconnecting as well. Social media can be a valuable tool when used mindfully, but when it starts to negatively impact your mental health, relationships, and happiness, it might be time to step back and reevaluate. We all deserve the freedom to live our lives authentically and without unnecessary distractions. Deleting my social media was the first step toward that freedom, and it's something I'll never regret.